sign the bill. Ross?
Thank you, Tori. Well, the time now is 7:44. Congressman George Miller is chairman of the House Education and Labor Committee. He joins us this morning from Washington, D.C. Good morning, Congressman.
Good morning.
This is kind of a bittersweet victory.
So very excited about the minimum wage.
Yeah, I was just going to say it's kind of a bittersweet victory for Democrats because it was wrapped up in the Iraq war funding bill.
Yeah, there's there are a number of good provisions in the bill. At the end of the day, I voted against it because I so adamantly disagree with the war in Iraq and the president's policies. We tried to get some timelines established for redeployment and some benchmarks, and the president vetoed that bill, and it was very clear he was going to veto that bill again. And so we had to pass a much weaker bill because we have, as you know, a one-vote margin in the Senate, and no ability to override a veto there. But the minimum wage was included, and that's very encouraging. 60 days from now, people will see an increase in the minimum wage after waiting 10 years. 10 years I've been authoring this bill to increase the minimum wage, and now it will finally happen.
There's a quote from you saying this is a great day for America's middle class. Isn't that a little bit of an overstatement, considering if you make the minimum wage at its full $7.15, you're only at $15,000 a year?
But we also know that helps put a floor under wages. What we really had is we had a sub-poverty wage that was enforced by the refusal of the administration to increase the minimum wage. So this also helps people directly above the minimum wage in terms of putting a floor on wages. And for the first time, a family of four with the minimum wage, 2 years from now, will be above the poverty line, where now they're about 11–12% below the poverty line. So it's a dramatic change. Over 6 million kids are going to have their parents' wages increased because of this act.
And what does that translate into? More food and basic needs for people?
Well, it translates into more food when people have to spend more energy to buy gas. I mean, to buy gasoline, to commute to work. Food is going up. Cost of education is going up. And what we do see is in those states that have raised the minimum wage, in fact, their economies are doing better because there's more money in the economy. Even Walmart supported this increase in the minimum wage because it said that its customers just didn't have enough money to provide for the necessities of life, that they came to Walmart to buy at what were advertised as everyday low prices. And so that's what was happening. Communities were getting poorer. But finally, Nancy Pelosi made this the subject of her first 100 hours. We've passed it. It's going to the president's desk today, and in 60 days from now, people will have an increase in the minimum wage.
On the other side of the issue, though, Congressman, you got small businesses that are trying to keep their head above water, and the National Restaurant Association says thousands of jobs will be lost because of this.
Well, what we see in the most recent economic studies, in communities that have raised the minimum wage, hiring has gone up. In the state of New Jersey, restaurant businesses increased. In fact, restaurant businesses increased again because people have more money in their pocket. They're eating out more. They're catching lunch at a fast food restaurant. So that's what people used to believe about the minimum wage 15, 20 years ago. But more and more economics studies show that the increased minimum wage is a stimulant to local economies and increases businesses.
Let's talk about this war funding bill now. We only have a minute or so, but what were the benchmarks that are included in that that was sent to the president, and does the president have to abide by those benchmarks that the Iraqi government must meet?
Well, this is really about the Iraqis. The president's always said we'll stand down when they stand up. I think they should stand up. I don't think they'll stand up until we do stand down. But the fact is, these are benchmarks about getting an oil law that's fair to Sunnis and Shias alike, amending the Constitution to provide for a greater inclusion of the Sunnis in the governing of the country, making a fair distribution of the seats in the Congress, and making sure that you have a unified security forces. Now, so far, the Maliki government, the Iraqi government, has done none of these things, but they promised they were going to do these if the president increased the number of troops. And so we just don't think that any longer our troops should be dying while the government fails to do anything. They're planning on going on a vacation rather than deal with these issues. In the meantime, our soldiers are dying. Tragically, all of these benchmarks, the president can waive them. If they don't meet him, he can waive them and send them more money. But we're going to be back here in September We're going to have the report on whether or not the surge is having any impact. It appears that it's not having much impact. In fact, things are getting worse in Iraq today. And then the Congress will have to vote again. And I think that there you'll see more and more members of Congress who will be voting against the president's policy, and hopefully we will be able to start the redeployment of our troops out of Iraq.
Thanks for talking with us this morning. Have a good weekend.
Thank you, Ross.
Enjoy the Memorial Day. George Miller, live from